mind, despite missing the playoffs last year and having the question marks surround Mahomes, the Chiefs are the favorites to win the division at DraftKings. And even though they won the division last year and were the AFC's #1 seed and could very likely have been in the Super Bowl if they hadn't had that quarterback injury, the Broncos are actually the third favored team at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, D. Wood, and let me make it clear, you're not making a bet. D. Wood is not betting on any of these things. But if you had to bet on one of these teams to win the division, which one would you pick?
Yeah, I'm going with the Denver Broncos. You know, listen, continuity is a big deal for any organization, and you see a lot of that with the Denver Broncos. I know we talked about Bo Nix with the injury, but he should be back, relatively healthy for week 1. And then the addition of Jalen Waddle to this receiving core, I think that's a huge addition. He brings something to that receiving core that they just don't have. He got the explosive element as far as taking the top off the defense. And so you combine that with the elite defense that they have, the rushing attack that the Denver Broncos have, I got them winning it.
D-Wood, who's the dog have? We heard the dog trying to answer me as soon as I asked the question.
Dog's making a lot of good points.
Who does the dog have?
The dog is riding with me because he knows where his bread is buttered at. He might be waiting on the bread right now from me.
Dan, how about you real quick?
D. Wood's dog is out there saying that the Broncos' record in one-score games last year was probably unsustainable, much like it was the year before when it was the other way around. So maybe they come back to earth a little bit, but it's a good setup there. Sean Payton has built it out the way he wants. They believe in the quarterback. I think he'll be back healthy. They're still a factor, as are the Chargers. I just don't think anybody's super comfortable betting the Chargers to win the division because of all the history there.
Well, okay. Let's talk about this because, I actually made a similar video, a similar topic discussion about the Denver Broncos over the weekend about how much they're doubted mainly because of Bo Nix, right? Like that's my conclusion about why they're not favored to win etc., is that it really falls more on the shoulders of Bo Nix. There's a lack of belief in Bo Nix, and even this whole idea that Graciano brought up about the whole the one-score game's unsustainable etc., and listen, there's some truth to that, right? You're not always going to go 7-0, you're not going to always win every single one-score game, so I get that, but the Broncos got better. The Broncos should be in less one-score games, not less one-score games. But also pretty much every football game is a one-score game these days between anyone that's actually an actual competitive team. Everything is essentially a one-score game. We're going to have to start this new line now in the more modern NFL, or at least in this very current era, between like a field goal or less, or 7 points or less, right? Maybe even 8. But because the whole O is the one-score game, like every football game is essentially a 1-score game. We also have to figure out when it's actually truly a one-score game and when it's the Broncos or whatever team was up by 10 with 3 minutes to go in the fourth and then so K. It's a field goal to, whatever it is, right? We've all know how those games always end like that. So, we got to draw a line. Now, to be fair, the Denver Broncos were in a lot of true one-score games, right? Undeniably. And some of them were actual pretty crazy comeback wins, 2-point conversions, pseudo Hail Marys, it was, it got intense. And you're right, you replay that game again against the Giants, for instance, are you really going to have that fourth quarter every single time? Most likely not. It's why it was literally historically special. Now, the counter to that is, next time we play, we're not going to need that. And it's there's some truth to that. The Broncos should, and I believe will genuinely be significantly better on offense. Significant. It's year 3 new play caller, which Sean Payton has come out and has admitted that he was kind of in a way holding the offense back for various reasons, mainly just in terms of just the speed of being able to get the calls out there which we know matters. And think about how this also is really interesting. Sean Payton, even in the beginning of last season, during the off-season of last season, he came out and said I'm shrinking the play calling. I'm no longer going to have these really long play calls. I'm going to shorten it. And I remember him talking about it, making a video about it. That also is really interesting considering he said that it's a little bit slower for him to get it out and that like maybe he was trying to get ahead of that last year by just shrinking everything down like that's actually worth looking into even more. I'm going to revisit that. But I remember 'cause he was doing it he had an interview with that one woman. What's her name? I don't know. Whatever her name is. She's pretty famous. But yeah, that makes sense. Now that's all starting to add up. And now you don't have that anymore. You don't have that problem. We're doing a lot of quotes here. You don't have that problem. So that is going to be a boost. Not to mention obviously having Jalen Watt is going to be a massive boost. So there's just really no strong reason to believe that this team is going to go backwards. Now, will they have the same record? Will they automatically win the division and the AFC as a whole? Of course not. I think lots of teams I think the Chargers will be better, the Chiefs will be better, even the Raiders will be better, and other teams around the NFL will be better. So, again, it's going to be competitive, but to constantly see the Denver Broncos on the outside looking in, that is where it never quite makes sense to me. It doesn't quite add up. And that's where to me the common denominator is. Bo Nix, why people just consistently doubt Bo Nix in that regard. And if people had a stronger sense and a stronger confidence around who Bo Nix is as a quarterback, then they would believe in the Broncos a lot more. A lot more. But that's where we're still at right now with Bo Nix and the Broncos. So, I do think though that we will get the best Bix we've had of his entire career. It's year 3. More weapons to work with, more experienced, more big game experience, and again should have a smoother operation offensively from a coach-quarterback kind of dynamic, which apparently he hasn't had over these first 2 years. So, I fail to see why we're not going to get the best version of Bick. Even if you don't think that Bo Nix is like the superstar quarterback. We've seen what the Broncos have been able to accomplish with this version of the Broncos. Now, they're going to be better. Now, Bo Nix is going to be better. It's kind of impossible for him not to be. You don't think he's going to be better than he was as a rookie? You don't think he's going to be better even with the best receiver that he's played with Jalen W. You don't think he's going to be better and again if Sean Payton was genuinely holding it back and was too slow etc. and now you solve that problem we don't believe that he's going to be better now of how could he possibly not be better just dumb it down to in the simplest way right and neutralize it we have a quarterback who's been pretty good, pretty successful, but he's never had a wide receiver. Now, we're going to add a great wide receiver to the team. And you don't think he's going to be any better? Of course not. And no matter, and it wasn't about Bo Nix, I'm just saying about any quarterback if it's going to be objectively true. Yeah, this quarterback's probably going to have a better year now that we brought in a better receiver, something he's never had. So, it's just when we now put that through the Bix lens, it's how could he not be better? How could and then therefore how could this Broncos team not be better? And if this Broncos team has already accomplished what they've done in the past, how can they still not be right there in the hunt in the mix to not only win the division, but then of course be the number 1 seed in the AFC and Greeny, they were going to be into in the Super Bowl if Bo Nix was there. That much is as obvious. I emphasize that now all the time because it is so clear. It is so obvious. It is you don't have to question that. It's very real. But apparently we also solve Sean Payton's limitations in real time as well. And so you solved that problem. Now you solve the Sean Payton problem and you solve the Bo Nix not playing problem. There you go. There you go. So yeah, cannot think of what that woman's name is. I think her last name is something like a real word and they use it to be the name of her show or something. I can't think of what it is, but I remember her sitting and Sean Payton goes through a whole play call that has 10 words in it and she's like, sure, of course. That makes total sense because she had no idea what he was talking about. I cannot think of her name. You guys will know it immediately. But I just remember specifically him saying like, we're no longer doing that. We're no longer having these long play calls. We're just going to say, you know, I don't know, Tango Blueberry. Tango Blueberry. That's it. Tango Blueberry. Like that's it. Nothing else. Rather than a whole long Tango Blueberry left wing right offset 6 like no you know the whole cast of characters he was just like we're just going to cut it right now just Tango Blueberry I'm obviously just making stuff up what is that girl's name something but let me know your thoughts in the comments below I read every single comment whether you agree with me or disagree with me either way let's get in some discussions let's get in some fights but ultimately let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing we're building an amazing community here and I absolutely love to see you part of it I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.